It's the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast with your hosts, the Wolf and Action Jackson, who are keeping rock alive by talking classic rock, hard rock, progressive rock, heavy metal, 80s music, early MTV, UK vs. US chart success, and much more. This is the home of classic album and live concert reviews and your place for interviews with artists and legends. You're rocking with the Wolf. Hey out there, rock and rollers. Welcome to episode number 252 of the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast. Brought to you by me, your host, Mac B. the Wolf, and I will be joined, as I always am, by my partner in crime from the East Coast of the USA, Mr. Gary Action Jackson. We appreciate you all tuning in here recently. Our 250th episode was a blast, talking to Hugh Syme, the amazing artist responsible for many great album covers over the years, especially those of Rush. And not only was he on our 250th, but for our 251st, we reviewed Caress of Steel as it turned 50, his first collaboration with the band. And we've been getting a lot of feedback from the Rush family on those too. We appreciate the love you spread. If you haven't checked those out, please do, because those are fun episodes for us. But you know, a big premise of this show is the fact that Jackson and I are huge fans of UK rock and roll, Anglophiles, if you will, when it comes to our rock and roll. 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it always seems like the British acts are a step ahead, or for us, they just sound better to our ears, and that's what the majority of our record collection is around, is British acts. And something we like to point out on this show is just because you're big in one of those two markets, the US or the UK, doesn't mean you're automatically big in the other one. And one of the biggest glaring differences on that end is Oasis, who in the UK were the biggest thing since the Beatles. Probably bigger than Duran Duran. I'd have to say they were. They meant more to their generation than anybody had in a long time. They sounded a lot like the Beatles in a lot of ways, but they're working class kids who were determined to make it out, and they did. And they captured the imagination of an entire generation in the UK. Whereas in the US, they did have some success, but they were kind of up against the grunge, which came and went, and there wasn't always room for the softer side of rock and roll, the more jangly pop. Because though Oasis does have some big, heavy rockers, they also have some fun, little lighter songs. And in America, we want you in a box. You can't necessarily be both. So while they're one of the greatest selling bands of all time in the UK, they're just kind of another band that did pretty well in the 90s and then kind of went away in the US. But for me, as soon as I discovered Oasis, and this was after they had already kind of hit it big, it wasn't till about 10 years after they'd started, maybe 8, I realized, wow, these guys are really good. And I started to bang the drum for Oasis. And being an American Oasis fan is a little different than being a UK Oasis fan, because they really started a cultural revolution in the UK. Whereas in the US, they're just a couple of brothers with bad attitudes who have two eyebrows between them. And yeah, they got a couple good songs, but there are a lot of bands that come in and out of the charts. And so it was hard sometimes to be an Oasis fan, especially since I didn't like Champagne Supernova or Wonderwall. But their second album, What's the Story Morning Glory, is turning 30. And for my money, it's the best album they ever did. Noel Gallagher might not agree with me on that, but I think it's great. It's got huge hits on it, timeless classics, stuff like Hello, stuff like Don't Look Back in Anger, and then fun stuff like She's Electric. The big hits are Champagne Supernova and Wonderwall. They're not my favorites, but I love the whole album. I really do. And what's really amazing about it is they had all these B-sides. Every time they release a single, they release about 4 songs. And sometimes it'd be a live song, but usually it was 3 or 4 songs, and you didn't know any of them. Or you knew one track off the album, and then there's 3 you didn't know. Basically, they're releasing an EP every time they release a CD single. And they started to add up with like Acquiesce, maybe the best B-side of all time, Talk Tonight, Rocking Chair, Come On Feel the Noise, Master Plan, that basically made an entire second album worth of stuff to accommodate all the B-sides that he needed for all the singles they were creating. So it's a really creative time for Noel Gallagher. And also a little controversial, the band was having some issues already. They had to replace Tony McCarroll on the drums with Alan White, but the trajectory was going straight up. And while there was a fire kind of brewing with Definitely Maybe, it started an explosion with What's the Story Morning Glory. And so while Oasis is just kind of wrapping up their tour here, at least the one that they're doing in 2025, there'll be a great time to hit What's the Story Morning Glory as it turns 30. But first, we do have a little bit of business to take care of. We always like to mention we are proud members of the Pantheon Podcast Network, a family of over 100 different shows. You can learn more at pantheonpodcast.com or follow on socials at Pantheon Pods. And you know we love to give shout-outs to our worldwide intergalactic sponsor, rarevinyl.com, who's based in the UK, folks. So not only do you have things from all over the world in their catalog of over 250,000 items, but you know they have a lot of killer Oasis stuff. You're looking for original albums, CDs, you want some of those CD singles I was talking about, you want Japanese or Australian or US imports, go there. Go to rarevinyl.com, pick out everything you might want, and then use the code UGLY, UGLY, at checkout, and you can save 10% off one entire order. Not just one thing in your bin, but everything. You buy 250 quid worth of Oasis stuff, you're going to get 25 quid off the order. It's a pretty great deal, and I know there's a lot of record collectors out there. There's certainly Oasis collectors out there. Their stuff is hot once again. Go to rarevinyl.com, use the code UGLY, save 10%. Your record collection will thank you. Now back to Oasis. We'll talk a little bit about seeing them live on this tour. It was not an easy ticket to get, no matter where you were. It was hard to get tickets. Tens of millions wanted these tickets. A lot of people got left out, even though they started adding 5th and 6th dates at Wembley and adding them around the world. Not everybody got to see them on this tour. Well, that creates pent-up demand, and that means there could be more touring in the future. You never know, and you never know with the Gallagher brothers. They might be getting along great today, and then in 2 days, Liam says something to piss Noel off, and then that's it. It's over, and maybe over for good. But they play 8 songs off this album on this tour, not to mention 3 B-sides. So the majority of what they're playing is around What's the Story, Morning Glory. And because it's my favorite Oasis album, and it's turning 30, we're reviewing it here today. So let's jump in. Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory, as it turns 30, here on The Wolf. So before we get into What's the Story, Morning Glory, we got to talk about this Oasis reunion, which is now in full throttle, which apparently still at this time we are not a part of. And it's not only a little upsetting to me, but it's a little baffling. I mean, I know how big Oasis are in Europe and England. Mm-hmm. And those were always going to be tough tickets, whether I live there or not. But Oasis just aren't as popular in America. I'm one of the people who have for decades been pushing Oasis as the greatest band of their generation. We're just kind of like, they were just another good 90s band here, and then they kind of went away. So it pains me that we're not going, at least not yet. But when they got big, I wasn't interested. I just I'm not interested. They're kind of jerks. You know, they got 2 eyebrows between them. They're always talking about how awesome they are. We already got a pair of brothers who are jerks who think they're better than they are. They're called the Black Crowes, and I don't like them either. So who cares? But what was your take on Oasis in the 90s as we were in college, and then as What's the Story, Morning Glory comes out?
So I remember when Definitely Maybe hit and Supersonic came out, and I said, I really like this song. It's cool. It's got a real heavy guitar riff to it. Mm-hmm. It's different. It doesn't sound like anything else that's on the radio. So I dig these guys. And then it kind of fell apart because, like you said, they got to be, oh, these guys are the new Beatles. They're the best band to come out of England. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Easy, easy, easy. Yeah. Maybe get a little more miles under your belt. Maybe stop fighting all the time, each other. Yeah, you guys need each other to be in the band. You're telling each other they're jerks. I don't need him. I can do this other thing. So, yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. I was like, screw these guys. Forget it. So they had a blowout, right? Mm-hmm. Then they got back together and they made this record. And I remember distinctly there was an interview with Noel when this was coming out, and they said, well, hey, you guys had some rough spots there. Like, what would have happened if you couldn't gotten back together with Liam? And he just looked at the person and said, then Wonderwall would have been the first single off my solo record. That's and I'm like, you're an ass, just an absolute ass. What kind of situation is that where these two guys are at each other's throats all the time? Mm-hmm. The rest of the guys in the band can't be comfortable. Like, it's just got to be a weird thing. And then, yeah, when this one came out, I remember the first single as Wonderwall. It wasn't, but that's in my head. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, sure.
And I was kind of like, yeah, it's okay. It's a lot softer than the other stuff. So yeah, I was like, whatever. I really don't care about these guys. They've already worn out my patience. Now, you're talking about the reunion. In doing this research for this, I like to go back and look at the videos because it's the 90s and, we'll see what they were doing.
That's right.
So when you go down the YouTube trail, they just start showing you other stuff. The footage from this tour is, I don't even know what the word for it is. You cannot fit another person in this stadium. They are all just chomping at the bit. Everybody's jumping up and down. There was footage from some show somewhere in, I'm guessing it's Ireland, because everybody had the Irish flags out.
Gotcha.
They're in the parking lot singing along. They're not. These people aren't even in the stadium.
Right.
This is so massive. It's ridiculous.
And I think that part of it is a cultural thing that we as Americans can't really fully understand if
Right.
we weren't British or we weren't there at the time. I remember being in England the summer of '94. First time I'd ever been to England, looking at and finding bootleg CDs, like, oh, there's bootleg CDs they just sell on the square. Like, this is so good. I'm, of course, looking for like 70s Stones CDs and maybe something else at the time that I knew, like maybe a cool Pearl Jam bootleg or something like that. But I didn't really know Oasis, and they, their stuff was kind of everywhere. I'm like, whatever, whoever these guys are. I didn't get it at the time. And then the next year, What's the Story? Morning Glory comes out. America was in the throes of this grunge thing. Still, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, the heyday of grunge was from 91 to about 94, and maybe into 95. But even America had kind of gotten a little tired of it at that point. And then by 95, who's really huge? Hootie and the Blowfish. Kind of this anti-grunge, like these nice boys. They all went to college together. They all live on the same street.
You're talking about feelings.
Yeah, they got the Hold My Hand song the girls really like. It's no longer drug addicts with dark music screaming about how much life sucks. It's like, well, I think that the whole Brit pop thing and the revolution that was happening in Britain culturally, finally Thatcherism was over. They had Tony Blair in. There was kind of this movement towards young people, and it just seemed like they were tired of being in lockstep with the United States. Right, because like Thatcher would do anything Ronald Reagan said, or at least that was the way it was perceived to be. There's long-time conservatism in there. It was time for a change. Clinton got to be president of the United States in 92, and so there was change in the air, culturally, politically, and all that. And suddenly, it was cool to be British again, whereas I think they were taking their cues from American culture. Suddenly, they're like, no, we got our own stuff. We're not their colonies, right? They're ours, and we do our own thing. And there was some pride in being British again.
Right. And I think there was also pride of being, these dudes were working class. They never hid that. They did never try and change who they were or their accents or anything like that. They were just, I'm watching these interviews with Noel and also Liam, and I swear if you say, you know what I mean, one more time, I'm going to lose it. Every other word is, it's curse word, my brother, you know what I mean? And then it's just over and over and over again. And yeah, they were just unabashedly who they were. And I think you're right. I think it's cool to hear somebody who sounds like me, who talks like me. And yeah, you know what? We're cool. I don't care about America. They suck. We're the originators here. So I think, they really grasped onto these guys and a couple other dudes. It's weird to call them Brit pop because I guess it is pop music, but
it's just rock and roll. I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's good old rock and roll. And, I think some of it too was they're clearly borrowing some stuff from the Beatles. Mm-hmm. And that's at this time being a little passe, whereas they weren't denying it. They weren't be like, oh, no, you're missing the point. It's like, yep, got that from the Beatles, took it straight from them. It's exactly what we did. Yep, that's who we are, and that's what we did.
But it always seemed like it wasn't like they were ripping it off. They were saying, I love this stuff. I sat there and listened for hours and hours to these records in my room. I learned how to play the guitar by listening to them. It wasn't like a ripoff. It was more like, I love these things. I love this so much. I want to kind of push it forward to the next generation. It never really felt like a ripoff to me.
No, and look, growing up in Council Flats, which is kind of like projects for those in America who don't know, it's basically you're working class, you have no education, and you're lucky to be able to live indoors, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's rough, And Noel had to they have another brother, but Noel had to have a room with Liam, and one night Liam got up and pissed all over his stereo, like. And I think Liam is technically his stage name. His name isn't really Liam, but it's a persona he takes on. Like, I'm this big rock star. I'm not the unibrowed kid from the Council Flats. I can believe myself into a better situation. And then I speak myself into a better situation. And some people see it's cocky or it's nonsense, but it's what they had to do to change their lives. And Noel, I think, had done, like tour as a guitar tech with the Stone Roses or whatever, ended up kind of getting cross with them, having to come home, finding out his brother's in a band. It's like, oh, really? You're in a band?
When did that happen?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So then Noel's like, all right, well, let's try some of these songs because I can do a little bit with the guitar. And he starts writing songs like, oh, wow, Noel's actually not too bad at this. And yeah, the Be Here Now album. Wait, that's not right. What came before?
Definitely Maybe.
Definitely Maybe was huge in England. And people were way into it. You got Rock and Roll Star, you got Cigarettes and Alcohol. That was obviously a T-Rex ripoff, but they didn't care because they liked T-Rex, And it got the young kids kind of behind them, like, yeah, these are working class kids like us. They're British. They're proud to be British. They go out there, they got the Union Jacks. Maybe they're wearing it. Maybe they got a Union Jack Gibson or a guitar or something like that, but they're very, very British. And I think that the young people in the UK really identified with them. But over here, they're like, yeah, there are a couple loudmouth kids who have some not bad tracks in the era of grunge. And then What's the Story, Morning Glory comes out. Now, Noel will say that Definitely Maybe is a better album. And he'll pick like 4 songs like It's Wonderwall, Champagne Supernova, Don't Look Back in Anger, and, maybe What's the Story, Morning Glory. He's like, those are good, and everything else is crap. Everything is shit, That's just the kind of way they are. And I'm like, no, you're wrong about that. And I think he's just mad that this one sold so well. He liked the first one better. It's like, wouldn't you do your homework and go back and get the other one? And I'm like, yeah, most people would. But I still think that this is the best album. I didn't get into it until the 2000s, into the heady days of Napster. And then, I don't know, one night it all just kind of clicked with me. I'm like, wow, these guys are really, really good.
Was it any one song, or was it just, did you just put it on and started to listen to it?
It was, no, I was out with friends, not a crazy night, but I had been out, we're having fun, having a couple drinks, whatever. I'm like, okay, it's getting close to midnight. I'm going to go home. It's bedtime for me. So I go home. Don't Look Back in Anger is on the radio, which is rare because they didn't necessarily play a lot of Oasis on the radio. And
especially that far out of it being released.
Right, yeah. This is a good 6 years later, maybe, something like that. And I hear Don't Look Back in Anger. I don't know the song, and I don't know what the song's called. It's not like DJ says, yes, that's Oasis, but Don't Look Back in Anger. I didn't know what it was, but it was Napster time, so I could go on there. I'm like, well, I think that's Oasis. Let me go on Oasis. I'll start downloading some stuff, and I'll see if I can find it. And, of course, eventually I did. And then my shtick was to go get the whole album and then get any songs associated with the album, any B-sides, any maybe spare live tracks. And what was amazing about Oasis was they were in the time of CD singles, and they sold a ton of CD singles. And they really did give you, honestly, it was an EP when you would buy a single. And you could see some of them, like the Some Might Say, which is I think it's the first single, right? Some Might Say comes out on a CD single. You get Some Might Say. You get Talk Tonight, which is a B-side. You also get Acquiesce, which is considered maybe the greatest B-side of all time. Plus you get Head Shrinker, And then Roll With It comes out. So then you get Roll With It, you get It's Better People, you get a Rocking Chair, and then you get Forever live at Glastonbury, 17 minutes. Then when Wonderwall comes out, you get Wonderwall, Round Our Way, Swamp Song, and then the Master Plan. You get almost 20 minutes, and then when Don't Look Back in Anger comes, and so this is what they're doing there. They had one of those really creative periods where they basically made enough stuff for 2 albums.
Right.
And they picked what they thought was the best to put on the record. And then they had all these others that weren't up to snuff or weren't as good. But I got to tell you, some of these B-sides are fantastic songs. Could have replaced some of the stuff on the original album, or just could have been a double album. And when you go to the 2014 reissue, which would have been about the 20th anniversary, or I guess technically it's the 19th, which is kind of weird. But it was a 3-disc set. It's the original. Maybe you had some Japanese bonus tracks in Japan. And then the second disc was the B-sides. And that's 14 songs, some of which are among the best songs they ever did. And then the next one was live and rare tracks, or maybe some demos, stuff like that. The thing from MTV Unplugged, the thing live at Main Road, Manchester. But those B-sides, Talk Tonight, Acquiesce, Head Shrinker, Rockin' Chair, Underneath the Sky. They did Come On Feel the Noise, Master Plan. These are great songs. And to me, I won't say I can't necessarily listen to the first album without also hearing those, but that's the definitive version to me, is the 2014 reissue that has that first disc and that second disc. And now they're about to release a 30th anniversary version that's due out in October. You can already order it now off of Amazon or off of Oasis. But it's basically just the first disc remastered, and then they have 5 songs unplugged. Cast No Shadow, Morning Glory, Wonderwall, Acquiesce, Champagne Supernova. To me, honestly, that's not worth buying. If you want to get a killer version, a deluxe version with all the bonus stuff on it, get the 2014 3-disc issue. That's worth your money all day long. This new one, it almost feels like a money grab to me.
I can't tell you how happy I am that we didn't have Napster when we were in college. We only missed it by a couple of years.
Yeah.
You said you were tired. I need to go home. I'm going to drive home. What's this song? Oh, let me stay up for another 3 hours and download music because I'm down this rabbit hole.
And that's basically what happened. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
That's all we would have done. All right, quick programming note here. Liam Gallagher, born William John Paul Gallagher. Okay. So yes, Liam is a made-up name. Yes. But it's interesting when you see this. These guys were off the charts with the B-sides. When in doing these record reviews, most singles from bands, it's the single, it's another song off the record, and then maybe it's a live track. But these guys have, like you said, an entire other album had you bought all the CD singles. The songs are good. They're not just like, I see why you didn't put that one on the record.
I know. And the Brits ate it up too. And so not only is it one of the best-selling albums of all time in the UK, but then they sold all of these singles to go along with it. And at the end of the day, 18 times platinum.
Yeah.
In the UK. Now that's like 5.5 million. And, I think that eventually What's the Story, Morning Glory, they used to say it's 4 million. I think it's up to 5 million in the US, which is pretty respectable, especially in the mid 90s there. So they're in the league with the STPs and the Alice in Chains as far as, who's selling albums or whatever. But unless you're Queen's greatest hits or ABBA's greatest hits, you haven't sold more copies of What's the Story, Morning Glory in the UK. It's tied with Sgt. Pepper and Adele's 21 for the number 3 selling album of all time. That's how big of a phenomenon it was in the UK.
Okay, but here's the problem, though. Here's one of the problems. You look at this thing, and I of course like to look at the credits.
Yes.
All tracks written by Noel Gallagher, except where noted. And that's it. So now you're making a lot of money. Yeah, you're making money on tour. That's cool. But the main person making the money is Noel.
Off the records, yeah, I guess that's
correct. True. So now you've kind of got in a band that was already having problems personnel wise. Now you've got somebody who's got more money than everybody else put together. And then, hey, that's just the way it goes. I wrote the songs. I keep the money. All right.
And he was fairly prolific at this time. Like the boys would go out to dinner and he would sit there and like try to jam something out. And they come back. He's like, yeah, I've just written Talk Tonight or whatever. Like while you were gone, I just wrote another song. It's amazing what I can do.
Okay. So there was one clip of him just saying, where do these songs come from? How do you write? And he's like, they're out in the atmosphere. You have to just keep messing with it. And he's like, yeah, the best ones just come to you. Like you're just messing around with the guitar and all of a sudden it's like a bolt of lightning. And yeah, could you imagine that? We went out for a pint and you've got this song that's not only did you write a song, okay, but it's great.
It's great. Yeah, exactly. And we're going to lay it down here right now. We're just go ahead and do it. And the thing is, except for Noel and Liam, their band wasn't super at this point. They were still having some drummer issues.
Mm-hmm.
All due respect to Bonehead. And he's back with them now, obviously. But,
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a rock star. He's bald at 21 years old.
Right.
He's and he doesn't dress cool like, Liam does. He looks like somebody from Manchester who's looking for a job, basically, who's on the dole but trying to get off of it, is basically what he looks like to me. But apparently he was part of creating that sound, and it was shocking to me that they had him back in the band, to be honest with you, because he'd already been gone for a while by the time they broke up. They put Gem and Andy back in the band. Okay, yeah, well, that was their last incarnation. Plus, those guys are really good. Like when Bonehead was done, that's it. He's just kind of done. He can hang out in Manchester, and people will buy him a pint to the day he dies. So it's like he went away, but they brought him back, and that was just very curious to me that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's a feel-good story. He was one of the founding members. He was there at the beginning, so it's cool to see him back up there again. Yeah, I don't know why you... other than nostalgia, I don't know why you brought him back, because you're right, the other guys are better musicians. And now you've got 3 guitarists. Alrighty.
Well, you got to make that sound. You got to make a big sound. You're in big places. People are watching the screens. It's got to sound good, yeah. And they teased it, a little bit. I mean, this comes out October 2nd, 1995. Some might say came out in April. Now, again, they had these songs cooking. They would get one and say, all right, let's get one out. Let's grease the wheels a little bit here and keep the people interested in the band. And, again, Talk Tonight, Acquiesce, Head Shrinker on that first one. And then in August, they put out Roll With It. Morning Glory's out in September, at least in the U.S. and Australia, again, to kind of prime the pump. So by the time Wonderwall comes out, when the album's out in October, it's the 4th single, technically overall, and people are already super familiar with it. Plus, they've gotten a taste of these B-sides that are so damn good. So they played that perfectly. I don't know if anybody else at the time could play it as well. They knew what they were doing, obviously.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just a different deal over there. Like we don't do that here. We don't really have CD singles. And I think it sounds like it was a purposeful deal where Noel really wanted you to go out there and work for this. Like if you really wanted the whole experience, you were going to have to find these singles.
That's right. It's kind of part of the master plan. See there?
Well, you should write a song about that.
Yeah, or even a whole album of B-sides, you could call that.
Hi, this is Gary Kemp. And this is Guy Pratt. And you're listening to The Ugly American Werewolf in London podcast.
But let's start to walk through these songs. Look, we could do a lot of stuff on this.
All right, let's do this.
Let's start to walk through these songs. You start off with Hello. Technically, the only people who got credit on songwriting other than Noel Gallagher is Gary Glitter and Mike Leander for Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Which song is he ripping off for Hello?
It's like Hello, Hello or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's something. I guess that's the deal. And I'm sure it was one of those. He wrote it and they're like, okay, dude, you're going to get sued if you don't put his name on there. It's not like he sat down with Mr. Glitter and wrote this song.
That's exactly right. But I got to tell you, it's a hell of a way to open the album. And it's a hell of a way to open a show. And I'm like, they should always start with Hello. That would be the right thing to do. That would be a killer thing to do. It's kind of like, it sounds like you're just, it's going to be like, ding, 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 ding.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be Wonderwall.
Sounds like it'll be one of them. And it's
like,
and then... It's like, oh, this isn't the happy little go lucky song. This is the real deal right here. So, all right, let's see what happens. And they do, by the way, start off their show with Hello, at least on this. So they're listening.
Yeah.
But then it's obvious if you ask me. It's not like they had to say, do you think we should start with Hello? I mean, to me, it's one of the greatest start songs ever. And it gets you up and it gives Liam a chance to kind of gawk at the crowd and stick his face up at him and say, come on, you know you love me. Sing along. Absolutely love it. But now we're off and running, right?
Yeah.
So then they come into Roll With It, which is, one of the singles. It was the second single. It came out in August of 95. How do you like Roll With It?
I like it. I just like the vibe on it, and I like it a lot better when getting into it a little bit. This was basically recorded live, and it's the second take of it. So now when I go back and listen to it, I'm like, oh yeah, it sounds like it was all done together. And I think that's how they did the first record. So I think this probably felt a lot more familiar to them. Just to go in there, bang it out. Yeah, second take. And I think Alan had just joined the band.
Alan White on the drums, yeah. But not Alan White of Yes, a different Alan White.
Right, yeah. It takes you a second to be like, wait a minute, that would be cool, but no, not the same person.
Yeah. And look, again, for collectors, it's either a dream come true or it's a nightmare, because Roll With It, the UK single, has got Roll With It, It's Better People, Rockin' Chair, which is a fantastic song, and then Live Forever live at Glastonbury, whereas the Australian CD had Roll With It, Talk Tonight, Acquiesce, and Head Shrinker. And then you had the cassette single, which is Roll With It and It's Better People. So, you get the 7-inch, you get the 12-inch, you get the CD. There's plenty of stuff out there. Here's the thing. It goes top 10 in a lot of places in Europe, goes to number 2 in the UK, number 2, and goes double platinum with over 1 million singles sold. So you got to start to tally some of this. Say 5.5 million copies. That's pretty amazing. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the whole story. Look at the single sales as well. And, we were already up to probably 1.5 million or so singles sold on this as well. And again, if all the tracks are written by Noel Gallagher, they're basically releasing a 1 million selling EP, and he wrote all the songs. But I like Roll With It. It kind of brings it back a little bit from the hard rocking, hard charging hello.
Yeah.
It's still a rock and roll song.
But it's kind of light though too. Like it's not super heavy duty, like, life changing. It's just cool to, like, if you were to hear it live, you'd be like, yeah, let's just hang out and listen to the song.
Well, and it's powering too. You got to take your time. You got to say what you say. Don't let anybody get in your way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, take your own power, be tough, be strong. You can do what you want to do in life. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't. And honestly, given where they grew up, that was kind of a rare thing.
Right.
Honestly, especially in Britain, like, your class is your class. Like in America, like,
exactly.
Work hard, get out there and
you
do
can be
you
anything
can make
you
it.
want. Yeah.
Britain's like, you're a council flat kid, you're going to die a council flat kid.
Right. You've got two options. You can either work in a store or work some construction job or whatever, and that's it.
Yeah. But they're like, don't ever stand aside. Don't ever be denied. You want to be who you'd be if you're coming with me, And and that's, I think, what got the kids in the UK like, yeah, these are our boys. These are the lads who are really, they understand what it's like to be me. I think I've got a feeling I've lost inside. They're feeling this. And they're singing it back to him like, yes, I get it. You are me, and we're together.
And I think especially at this time, you could totally see them just showing up at the pub. Not like, with the giant entourage, like it would just be them sitting there slamming pints.
And maybe on acid, too. Who knows?
Well, I mean...
They were fairly fond of all the different kind of forms, from what I can tell.
Sampling many things, yes.
Yeah. So they're rolling with it. So pure rock and roll here so far. Now, third song, that's usually where you'd maybe take a little bit of a left turn here, or maybe slow things down. And yes, it's Wonderwall. Kind of one of the biggest songs ever. It went to number 2 in the UK, but it's kind of regarded as one of the biggest songs of the whole 90s. again, it did okay in America. I think people liked it and it hit the charts, but it's regarded as this masterpiece. People absolutely love it. I mean, look, Cashbox 6 in the U.S., Billboard Hot 100 8, U.S. Alternative 5, Alternative Airplay 1, Dance Signals 17, Mainstream Rock 9. It certainly got some play, but I mean, it's going to number one. It made the charts in Zimbabwe. It's crazy. Yeah, it went gold, the single in the United States. It went 8 times platinum in the UK. 8 times. 8. It almost sold as many as the album itself. And then it's selling everywhere else. 12 times platinum in Australia. 3 times gold in Germany. Multi-platinum around the world. People love this song. Now, for me, as much as I love this album, I really don't love it. For me, it is a skip just because it's a little
and you've heard
overplayed.
It so many times. Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of slow, and you get the strings in there, and it's like,
Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but you never really had a doubt. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads we have to walk are winding.
I do love when he says the word is on the street that the fire in your hat is out. So I'm like, okay, there's the accent coming through.
But
right. Yeah, it's kind of overplayed. I guess where they recorded this thing, there was a wall. And so Noel's telling about how, oh yeah, I was thinking about sitting up on top of the wall and recording this and just having this be this big moment. What a shit idea that was.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man.
Should sit up there and record. What? No, that's stupid.
But it's almost a cliche now. I mean, I see Wolf Van Halen, and he's like, okay, now I think I'm going to do Wonderwall. He goes, dun, 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 dun. I'm just fucking kidding. He's like, there's always some jerk at the party with a guitar who thinks he can play Wonderwall, But, again, huge hit. I think it was the number 10 song in all of the UK.
It was, I remember it was on very heavy rotation on MTV.
Yeah, it was. It did awfully well. I'm just looking at the numbers that I can see here, and it must have sold at least 8 million copies worldwide.
Of the single. That's crazy. Because you got to figure that those of the 8 million, how many of those people actually then went and bought the entire album? So you have both, and then other singles too.
But what's on the signal? Well, it's Wonderwall, it's Round Our Way, the Swamp Song, and then The Master Plan. In the U.S., though, we got Talk Tonight and Rockin' Chair. The U.S. single was 26 minutes long. That's an EP. It was Wonderwall, Round Our Way, Talk Tonight, Rockin' Chair, and I Am the Walrus, live from the Glasgow Cat House in 1994. That's a good one to have. Anytime I see Oasis singles in the wild,
snap them up, yeah.
I grab them. Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't even really check whether I can play them or not, or what kind of condition. I'm like, yoink, give me that. But they received a Grammy nomination for it, and they won all sorts of Brit pop and those kinds of awards for these. I mean, it was just, they were everywhere. It's just their attitude sometimes turn people off when they show up drunk to accept the awards, or they curse or whatever. And they were like, yeah.
And also the way that they look back then too, it was like you said, they had two eyebrows between both of them. Mm-hmm. They looked like they cut their own hair, but it was the fact that they just didn't give a shit. They didn't care about anything other than being themselves, cursing every other word, and like you say, being drunk 22 hours of the day or whatever they were doing.
Yeah, whenever they weren't asleep.
Yeah.
Basically. All right. Well, then you move on to Don't Look Back in Anger. Now, this is kind of the one that grabbed me.
Uh-huh.
This is their second single ever to reach number 1 in the UK. It's kind of got an emotional bent to it. It's got that piano at the front. And
can you imagine piano? Yes.
And then, it's maybe a bit borrowed, but when they play this live, everybody's singing along. And when they get to the chorus, Sally, it brings the house down. Everybody's got their lighters up or their hands up in the air, the girlfriend on their shoulders, whatever it is. This one brings the house down, and it's one that Noel played every single night as a solo artist or with the High Flying Birds. He never didn't play this song because he knows how good it is.
Yeah, he was saying that there are times when he doesn't sing any of the lyrics. The crowd just takes it.
Yep.
This was I remember watching this video thinking to myself, something is up here. Because now we always love the songs that somebody else sings, right?
Yep.
But it's usually either a B-side or a way deep album track or something. This was a single. This was a huge hit.
Yep.
Not sung by Liam. And if you watch the video, he's just kind of sitting there. Like they pan to him and he's just kind of like,
Yeah.
And this is when Noel was starting to say, well, maybe I don't need you so much anymore because I can have big hits.
Yeah.
Now, I have to have a little programming note here because I love this. This was recorded, Noel recorded this on a 1963 Vox AC30 amp that he bought off of, he said, one of the Hollies, so I'm guessing it wasn't Graham Nash or he would have said it.
Right.
But this piece of equipment was one of the house amps at the Cavern Club.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so he's like, I saw that, I had to have it. And to think you've got this thing that the Beatles played through at one point in time. And then I was giving you a hard time about the Imagine sample, I guess we can call it at the beginning. Somebody had a tape of John Lennon talking that he heard. And he said, so Lennon said something about the brains they say I had went to my head. And he just went, that's
write that
it.
down. Yep.
Write that down. And I think that's why he put the Imagine, just to tip the cap to the Mr. Lennon.
Inside the fireplace, take that look from off your face. You ain't ever gonna burn my heart out. And so Sally can wait. She knows it's too late as we're walking on by. And so
Yeah, I think you're right about that. The CD single had Don't Look Back in Anger, Step Out, Underneath the Sky, another great B-side, and then Come On Feel the Noise cover, which is what they put on the US CD single.
Which, really quickly,
Yeah.
I was listening to that. That sounds a lot more like, I mean, obviously everybody knows Quiet Riot. That sounds a lot more like the original Slade version.
Absolutely.
Which is a pretty good song. And it's coming back up again. We need to do something on Slade because they were huge in the UK.
Noddy Holder couldn't have been bigger, even though he doesn't look like a rock star.
No.
But he had that top hat.
And that voice. Holy crap, could he sing.
I know. And so this is another one. It went all the way to number 1 in the UK. Only 55 on the Billboard and 10 on alternative, but only 55 on the main one. So this is one that wasn't jibing with American culture at the time. But again, the single is 6 times platinum in the UK. It's, more than 3.5 million copies sold in the UK alone, about 5 million sold overall. So again, they're on a roll here that may not stop. In 1996, it was the number 11 song in all of the UK, and it's an amazing song. It's emotional.
I don't see how you can not like it because it's very listenable. The chorus is, like you said, everybody's just singing it. Even if it doesn't mean anything to you personally, it's just a great song to listen to.
Absolutely. And he just comes out and belts it up, slip inside the eye of your mind. Don't you know you might find a better place to play? There's take me to the place where you go where nobody knows if it's night or day. Please don't put your life in the hands of a rock and roll band. He would also change it and say, you can put your life in the hands of this rock and roll band. And the people would go insane. So Sally can wait. They lose their minds. It's such a good, fun song. And I've seen Oasis a few times, but I've saw Noel solo more, and he still kills it. Okay, got to keep moving.
Okay.
So now they go to Hey Now. It's another little bit of change of pace because that's an emotional one. This one's a little different. It's still a rocker, but I feel like it's a little slowed down versus some of the faster stuff on the album. But it all fits. It all fits together. And some of these lyrics are interesting too. It's like, and time as it stands won't be held in my hands, or living inside of my skin as it fell from the sky. I ask myself, why can I never let anyone in?
Yeah.
That's because you're tough.
Yeah.
And, and your little brother's an asshole. And if you give him an inch, he's going to take a mile. So that's why, you know what I've got to say? Time's slipping away, and what it will hold for me. What am I going to do while I'm looking at you? You're standing ignoring me. So I got to go out and do something. I got to make something of myself in this life. And that's what they went out and did. But what do you think about Hey Now?
Yeah, no, I like it. I like the song. I like the line about how I took a walk with my fame down on memory lane. And it's like, yeah, where are we now? Like we got huge. We got to make this follow-up record. That's always a tough deal to make that sophomore record.
Yeah.
But this thing exploded. You're kind of maybe thinking about where you are now in life, how it's changing. And I also like the title because it reminds me of you ever see the Larry Sanders Show?
Hey now, Hanks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hank, that's not even a real word. Sure it is. We'll use it in a sentence. Hey now.
I rewatched that not too long ago.
Yeah.
And, our guest of the show, Gary Kemp, was on there. He kind of played the role of the interim musical director or whatever. And then, of course, Hank was worried he was going to take over for him. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty predictable. It actually would have been great if Kemp had been on there more, but I guess they had their own reasons. But yeah. So, Hey Now, did it get airplay? Yeah. And here's the thing, they had to use everything. They had so many singles. They had to use anything that wasn't a single to put it on one of those EPs that they called CD singles, So, yeah, it's on there. Next up is it's Untitled, but some people call it Swamp Song 1.
I like Swamp Song versus Untitled. Untitled is that's too lazy.
I agree, but that sounds like something they would do. Like, hey, just put this on there. What's it called? I don't know. Fuck it. I gotta go smoke a joint. You decide what it's called.
Swamp Song, perfect.
Okay, all right. So it's a little bit of a jam, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like On the Road Again from Canned Heat. He's got the harmonica going. I'm like, it's kind of cool, and I could see them just fooling around, warming up, or if no one has an idea, well, we'll just do something. I think that was his whole thing, is just start playing. It's something we'll make something out of it.
That's right. So, I don't know if I call it a full song or whatever. It kind of goes with Swamp Song 2 or the other Untitled between What's the Story, Morning Glory and Champagne Supernova.
Yeah.
But it gets to Some Might Say, which is the first single off of the record, the one that came out in April, so long before. And it was their first number one. So that's their first number one before the album even comes out. And then the second number one is Don't Look Back in Anger, one that Noel sang. But this one comes out big fat chords right in your face.
Yeah. It's fuzzy at the beginning.
Yeah, and Tony McCarroll, the original drummer, was on this one. It's the last song to feature all five of the original guys. But what might be more important than, and we can go over the lyrics. I get Some Might Say they don't believe in heaven. Go and tell it to the man who lives in hell. Some might say you get what you've been given. If you don't get yours, I won't get mine as well. These are well-written songs, but to me, the Acquiesce was the B-side. And Acquiesce, maybe the greatest B-side ever. They play Acquiesce second after Hello at their shows. It's like they kind of have to get it out of the way. But it's because it's a duet.
I was going to say, is this a co-lead? Because it sounds like they're going back and forth. Okay.
It is a co-lead. More than a duet. Yeah, it's kind of a co-lead. And when he says, because we need each other, we believe in one another. Uh-huh. That's something they couldn't have sung for a long time. They couldn't have stood on stage and sung that to each other. So I feel like they're kind of setting the tone with it, It's like, because we do need each other and we do believe in one another and we're back together now. We've got the best band that you could possibly imagine.
We want to be alone and we can feel alive instead.
So to me, Acquiesce is, it's not even on the album, so I can't say it's the best song on the album.
It's the best song that's not on the album.
It's for sure the best song that's not on the album, yeah. And once again, it sold, they say it's only 2 million, but it did awfully well. And then Acquiesce, I don't know if you can even count it by itself. I mean, airplay, maybe you could get some stats on it or whatever, but I mean, technically, it wasn't even its own song. I think they released it to promote Master Plan, which was their gathering of B-sides.
Yeah, okay.
But which is a great album, by the way. If you can't buy the deluxe version of What's Story Morning Glory, get the Master Plan because it has a lot of the best ones on there.
And that's cool that they released that, because probably by the time that it came out, the Master Plan, everybody knew these things were around, but maybe you could get your hands on it, maybe you couldn't. I don't know how rare the CD singles were, especially if they sold that well at the beginning. I don't know if they would reprint those. So to be able to get that all together, if you were late to the party, is pretty cool.
Yeah, and some might say is a good rockin' tune. It again, the chord changes they use are great. It all kind of fits together, and you're really talking about a no skip. I mean, I know I skip Wonderwall, but most people don't. Most people, if they're going to skip, they'll skip to it instead of skipping away from it. But, you know, everything they do, it's all good and it all fits together. Now, moving to Cast No Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Gallagher wrote this for his friend Richard Ashcroft of The Verb.
Okay.
He dedicated this to the genius of Richard Ashcroft.
Is that the Bittersweet Symphony?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. I thought that when I heard that.
Yeah, no. And he was opening for them in the UK. I don't know if he's going to open for them when he come over here to America or not, but he was opening for them. It was supposed to be a B-side, Cast No Shadow, but then I guess it was one of those things like, well, man, that's better than I thought it was going to be. I wrote a better song than even I thought we were going to do. I guess he wanted to sound like Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd.
They say the chords are the same, and so when I listen to it, I'm like, I mean, okay, I don't hear that. I hear Imagine a lot more in Don't Look Back than Wish You Were Here, but okay.
Bound with all the weight of all the words he tried to say, chained to all the places that he never wished to stay. Bound with all the weight of all the words he tried to say, as he faced the sun he cast no shadow.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but you know, as he faced the sun, he cast no shadow. And there goes, very Beatles like stuff in there for sure. And somehow it went gold, even though it wasn't a single. And She's Electric went double platinum, even though it's a non-single. You know, so they're I think it's through airplay. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just had promotional singles that wasn't technically a single. I don't know. I really don't understand it. It was released October 2nd because it was on the album, but I don't know. I don't know how they do that kind of stuff, but basically these are album tracks that weren't released as singles that somehow are getting single designations one way or the other because they get played because they're on the CD single of another song, you know.
I guess crazy. That's the thing. People, they just couldn't get enough of this. So yeah, put another one out, whatever, just play it.
And that's why, to me, Master Plan is such a good song because, yeah, it's all part of my master plan. I'm going to give you an album, but there's also going to be B-sides that you can't get unless you buy the CD singles.
Right, and if you work for it. And the CD singles aren't even the same. So you could own the US version, you could own the UK version. There's probably a different Japanese version also that you're going to want to pick up if you can get your hands on it.
Yeah, that's right. So, again, if you're a collector, either it's a dream or it's a nightmare because trying to get it all is not easy. But it gives you something to shoot for, you know. Now, to me, She's Electric is a story song.
Right.
And it's a little lighter. Still
Correct.
has a bit of a Beatles-esque kind of beat or thing to it.
Apparently this was a Definitely Maybe era deal, but it got bumped for Digsy's Diner because I guess they just liked it better. It was more finished or something, but I can see this being written about the same time because it has that feel.
Yeah, you're right about that. And it's basically talking about a girl he knows and that he's kind of getting over on and, you know, and also kind of maybe talking about some other people in her family, you know, maybe her sister, maybe her mother, maybe her cousin, you know.
She's in a family full of eccentrics. She She's done things I've never expected, and I need more time. She's got a sister, and God only knows how I've missed her. And on the palm of her hand is a blister, and I need more time.
It's just kind of funny. She's got a brother, we don't get on with another, but I quite fancy her mother, and I think that she likes me. She's got a cousin. In fact, she's got about a dozen. She's got one in the oven, but it's got nothing to do with me. It's kind of a song just about girls, but she's electric, can I be electric too? Kind of like, get with me, baby, and together, we can be something special.
But this one is kind of nice because we're down close to the end of the record here, and it's just kind of a light little...
It's funny, if you ask me.
Yeah. It's not real heavy duty. It's easy to listen to. It's a fun song.
It is fun. Yeah, absolutely it is. And so you're thinking, okay, well, we're getting towards the end here. And so far they're not really playing that one. They play 8 different songs off What's the Story, but She's Electric's not one of them. They do have other stuff to play, as it turns out. Crazy, but it's true, and I like that one. Noel actually plays the bass on that one too. It's he and Liam, Bonehead and Alan White. He didn't let Giggsy play bass on that one. He just kind of took care of it himself.
You go sit in the corner,
and that would be kind of a recurring theme. Like, I'll take care of this, and we'll replace you. Don't worry about that.
Well, you got to figure that's the next step. If he's telling you I've got this, then perhaps maybe you should freshen up.
Be
the
worried.
CD.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This is Mel Gallagher from Simple Minds. You listen to the Ugly American Werewolf in London. You stay cool and see you soon.
Okay, now next, and here's the thing, we're not doing sides because this is the CD era.
Yeah.
This is the only way I've ever really heard it. But next is Morning Glory. Now this, you hear the helicopters like it's, in Vietnam or something like that. This is a hard rock song with him bending that note and holding that, and this is a go for the throat rock song, charging hard, and the lyrics are as classic as rock lyrics can get, if you ask me. To me, this is the standout song on the album to me as far as lyrics go.
This rocks a lot harder than I remember it, and I'm like, oh yeah. But at this point in time, I'm like, okay, we're almost at the end here. Let's slog through this. And then you hear this one, you're like, hey, wait a minute, I kind of forgot about this song. I guess it's the title track. It's not really because
not technically.
It's not the whole thing. I guess Noel knew some girl that was always saying that. What's the story, Morning Glory? And he thought it was like a big American expression. Like, we use that all the time here. No, we don't. And so he just took it and ran with it. But yeah, the one about the line about all your dreams are made when you're chained to the mirror and the razor blade. You're like, oh, God, is that horrible?
Today's the day that all the world will see.
Oh.
This is your coming out party, and this is you.
When you chain to the mirror and the razor blade, today's the day that all the world will see. Another sunny afternoon, walking to the sound of my favorite tune. Tomorrow never knows what it doesn't know too soon.
Need a little time to wake up. Need a little time to rest your mind. You know you should, so I guess that you might as well. Great live song with that guitar just screaming at you.
Yeah.
So good. If you're down and you put this on, you will be moving here really quickly. Now, maybe it wasn't released. It was given a commercial release only in Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, but it was also a radio single in the United States and Canada. So it was, and apparently it received a lot of play on modern rock stations because some might say and roll with it, I guess, hadn't been hard enough. And that's kind of what I think they were battling in America. It's like, we are kind of still in the middle of this grunge thing to some extent, and we don't need their nonsense attitudes. Plus, the people who liked the softer rock were going the Hootie and the Blowfish direction.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to be taken seriously, you had to have the hard rock.
Right. And like we reviewed Alice in Chains' Dirt, which came out in 92. There's no gap in that record. Like it just pounds you the entire time. And I think maybe we were having a hard time with this going up and down. You know, you've got tracks like this that are pretty heavy duty, but then you just came off She's Electric. So you're right. Hey, what are we doing here? You have to fit into a box in the United States.
Right. Yeah. And obviously you don't necessarily have to in the UK because they're showing you a gambit of all sorts of stuff. Again, the Australian CD single had Morning Glory, It's Better People, Rockin' Share, which is a great song about getting older, and then Live Forever Live at Glastonbury, which was huge for them. This is history right here. This is history. But we had no idea. We don't know what Glastonbury is. You know, we had no clue. Now we can understand. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a huge deal. They got the pyramid. They always have big bands. But Oasis was bigger than Glastonbury. So big that when Liam went solo back to do it by himself, he still got like 250,000 people over a couple nights. I'm like, well, Jesus, and he's not even the good one. Like, what if the band really got back together? How many people would they get? And the answer is, you know, they had requests for like 100 million tickets or something like more than the number of people that were in the UK, you know, wanted tickets or something crazy like that. And even though they're adding 5th and 6th shows to Wembley or however many it is, they're still all sold out in a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
They just can't get enough of it.
Like I said, that footage that I saw, and it's the footage of somebody standing on the stage. So the band has got their back to you, and you can see the whole crowd. You could not fit another person in that stadium.
And they're going nuts. It's not like they're in there. It's like, okay, let's stand reverently and watch. They're hopping up and down. They're singing along. They're chanting. They're on each other's shoulders. They're waving flags and banners. It's like when the Berlin Wall broke and suddenly everyone's free, except that's, you know, they're out of this repressed Tory conservative Britain and they're into this new era and they couldn't be happier about it. And Oasis are the poster boys for it. And that's why they love him so much. All right. Well, the next they go to, I guess you need a break after Morning Glory. It's pretty intense. Yeah. It's almost like an alarm clock, but I mean, I love it. And then they go back to the second one. Okay. It's almost like a palate cleanser kind of thing.
Because you're really going to switch gears.
Yeah. We're going to really change to Champagne Supernova. And obviously this is a big hit for them and it's a long one and one that did well over the world. This is one that I really didn't like. Because they kind of shoved it down our throats. And it did actually go gold in the US. So it actually did pretty well for them. Went to number 1 on alternative airplay and 8 on mainstream rock. I don't think it did very well on the main. I mean, pop airplay it did number 10, but I don't think it really hit the Billboard 100 very well. But it's obviously one that people love and girls like it, and it's a slow down song kind of thing. Champagne Supernova. But I don't like the lyrics. I don't like the while we were getting high. To me, that just shows a lack of creativity. You're supposed to talk about that stuff and be a little sly about it. You need a little double entendre. You know, I'm standing next to a mountain. I'm chopping down with the edge of my hand. Well, what can you chop down with the edge of your hand? Use your imagination. But where were you while we were getting high? And they say it twice. You know, they basically rhyme where were you while we were getting high with where were you while we were getting high. Yeah. It's just, to me, it's not that great.
Go back to talking about lasagna.
That's the thing. Yes. They are talking about eating lasagna because it's the only thing they could make or something. Yeah, it's weird. And look, it's just not for me. It's a skip for me. I know for some people, they can't wait.
Well, and especially at the end of the record too. Like you're already, like, I think if you just go straight through this, it's like 50 minutes. So yeah, at this point in time, you're like, yeah. And then you're right. It did get kind of shoved down our throats. It's, how many special people change? I don't know. I don't really care.
Most of them? I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
Find me caught beneath the landslide in a champagne supernova in the sky. Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide in a champagne supernova. A champagne supernova in the sky.
But it brings the house down, and it's what they close with. It's what they close with on their current tour. The encore is Master Plan, which was a B-side.
I guess we're not leaving early then.
Don't Look Back in Anger.
Yeah.
Wonderwall, and Champagne Supernova. Yeah, so they do 8 songs off What's the Story, Morning Glory. Well, if you take out the 2 Swamp songs, there's only 10 songs on the record. So they play most all of it. And then from the master plan, they do Acquiesce, which is from this session, Talk Tonight from this session, Master Plan from this session. So, they know where their bread is buttered, let's just say. They do a lot from Definitely Maybe too, but Be Here Now gets 2 songs, Heathen Chemistry gets 1, and they don't do anything from Don't Believe the Truth, which to me is their second best album. After What's the Story, Morning Glory. So it's kind of, to me, it's sad that they've abandoned that, because Noel continued to play a lot of those songs live with the High Flying Birds. And yeah, it's kind of when after that fateful night of Napstering, that was the first Oasis album that came out after I got into Oasis. That was the first new Oasis album to come out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So when it came out, I was all over it. And it's great. And they had Gambin Andy and Zach Starkey on drums. Right. Best lineup they ever had. So my hope is, there's a distinct possibility that they do this tour and then it's over. And then Noel goes back to being Noel Gallagher. Liam goes back to doing whatever he does. Bonehead goes back to being the king of Manchester. The other guys kind of glom on where they can. It's also possible they stay together and say, okay, you know what? Every 2 years we'll do this.
I was going to say, with the reception that they've gotten from this tour, you would be stupid not to, go off and do, take 2 years off and then come back again. It's ridiculous. Like you said, you're having to add 5th and 6th nights at Wembley for the demand. Yeah, they're going to be back again.
One would think. And then they could open it up and say, okay, we're going to do some of those tracks from Don't Believe the Truth. We can expand it a little bit. You got to change your set list a little bit from one tour to the next. And they have more songs, so they could do that. But honestly, people were just so chomping, just like, oh my God, Oasis coming back. It means so much to folks in the UK and in Europe that, they're willing to pay thousands of dollars. It's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, how long were they apart?
About 15 years.
Okay. So for 15 years, they've been basically teasing this.
That's a generation, by the way. It's a whole generation.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Grew up like Oasis was that band that used to be together.
Yeah. And every time, they would get, well, what about your brother? And, Liam would just say, hey, he's got my number, anytime you can call, and then Noel would say something like, oh, he's too busy looking at himself in the mirror. But they would never say, I will never talk to him again. So there was always like that, well, you never know, maybe. You never know.
As long as they're alive, right? Yeah.
You never know what the future will bring. So, when they finally announced that, people lost their shit.
Yeah, no, and Noel... it never flustered him, because people would be like, I'd be at his shows like, where's Liam? He goes, where's Liam? He's in the back selling T-shirts. Where's your brother? Well, I got 2 brothers. One of them's over the stage over there. One of them's at home looking at himself in the mirror. It's like he was never short of something nasty to say and putting him in his place, kind of thing. But then, and I think with Beady Eye, which is basically the remnants of Oasis without Noel, kind of goes off into the thing. They had a couple of really good songs, but then as Liam went solo, he's not much of a songwriter. He needs help from other people.
Right.
And when you see him in the videos, you could see like there used to be the 3 of us, these 3 brothers. And now he's sitting in a chair by himself with these 2 empty chairs next to him. You could tell that he couldn't come out and say, I was wrong and I love my brother. He could never, his ego would never let him say that. But you could see that he missed being part of a family. He missed being a brother. He missed not having his kids know their cousins, kind of thing. Like you don't see your mother together at Christmas. It's one or the other. And that's sad. And it's a waste.
Yeah. And I think you do get to the point in your life where you realize you're not getting any younger either. If we're going to do it, it's going to happen now. I think that in the stuff that I've seen from Noel recently, he's very complimentary of Liam. Like, well, he sung the shit out of that. Like, nobody could sing it like him. He just nailed it. So I think that they did kind of realize that they are better together than apart. And
Noel will say stuff like that. He's like, I could sing, cigarettes and alcohol, but when Liam does it, it's transcendent.
Yeah.
Like it's something special,
And I was at a lunch in London about a year ago. And so, we had a whole bunch of people, and there were a couple guys who were about our age. And so, I'm like, what do I talk to these guys about? Hey, I know. Hey, you guys got your Oasis tickets? And it wasn't like, oh, screw them, whatever. They were genuinely mad at the question because they were so hard to get and already sold out. Like, I wish I could, but I just can't get in on this. So the demand was just, I thought they'd just tell me whatever, we don't care about them anymore. But they were mad. They were like, I wish.
I know.
Like, oh, okay.
It's like, how can I not get it? And I tried. Look, I keep my promises to my daughter. When I said, I promise I'll take you to Iron Maiden one day. Even if I have to go to Sweden to do it, I keep those promises. I promise I'll take you to Kiss. I'll promise. And I said, when we lived in England, if Oasis gets back together, I will take you and we will see them here in England. Okay. She's like, great, Daddy. I had tickets to take her to Noel Gallagher one day, and it was like on the green, and I got sick.
Oh.
And I couldn't go, and I let She-Wolf take her. And the thing is, the Brits, they don't slow down as the day goes on. They just kind of keep it going.
Oh,
and
boy.
As being like a pretty little kid, like 8 or something like that, she was kind of around some really drunken people, and they didn't stay for the whole show. So I'm like, well, don't worry, honey. Oasis will get back together one day, and I will take you. And I so far I'm a liar because I tried to get tickets in England, and it basically called me a bot. Like, you're not a human, you're a bot, and we're not selling to the bots. I'm like, screw you, I'm not a bot. And then I tried to get them in a couple different places in the North America, and that didn't work out. I've been getting updates from some social media accounts like, okay, they're doing production releases. Like, okay, like we didn't have these tickets available before. We didn't think this part of the thing was
when
available.
They get the stage set,
yeah, and they're like, okay, now we're releasing them, and they're doing that all through Europe now. I'm getting updates for it all the time, so I'm hoping that that's going to be the case in the U.S. as well, to at least give us a chance. Because I can't imagine that they're going to come to America, play stadiums, and I'm not going to be there. I can't fathom it. Something's got to give. There's got to be a way that we can go.
I wonder if they'll add shows too with the demand. I mean, if it's selling out in the United States, you'd be stupid leave money on the table.
Well, but I think that's this year, and then they go to South America, and then they're going to go to like Australia and Japan and those places. They're minting money. We're not talking about tens of millions. We're going to talk about hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's not like Noel didn't have it anyway.
Right.
Liam wasn't hard up either. So, but now they have this stupid money where you can be like, okay, I did it for the fans. I gave Liam his chance back in the spotlight, and now I'm going to sail off into the sunset. And I'll still do the Birds. I'll still do stuff that I want to do, but I'm putting Oasis away. We'll see.
Because you figure too, like I would imagine they have the pop-up stores there for all the people who can't get in but still want to buy merchandise. No, we got you covered. No,
they're already like, book your space at the pop-up store.
Oh my god,
they have some Adidas, like Oasis licensed Adidas stuff, and I love Adidas tracksuits. I'm like,
I'm sure
okay,
it's fairly reasonable.
I'm gonna get one of those. I don't care what it costs. And one day I'm like, okay, I'll do that this weekend. I come back this weekend, sold out.
Oh,
I assume that there will be more, but yeah. Couple of quick notes there. Eventually, I did get the opportunity to purchase some production release tickets to see Oasis in Toronto or Chicago, but they were still over $500 a piece, and it was like 2 or 3 days before the show. And in listening to what our friend Hugh Simon said about friends of his coming in and out of Canada, coming into the United States, I didn't think it was a wise thing for me to try to throw together a last-second trip to Toronto. Maybe I'll get stuck there and I won't be able to get back. And even the Chicago trip, doable, but it's just all at the last second. We're at the beginning of school starting, and I'm still just bitter that I was left out of the whole process in the beginning, where you just get your tickets and you get psyched and you plan your trip, and it's going to be amazing. And at this point, this is being released, they're done with North America. They've played their shows in Mexico. They did the stuff in East Rutherford, in Toronto, in Chicago, and out west, and they're moving on. Now, will they play again next year? Well, yes, we talked about South America, Australia, Japan. Will they come to the U.S.? Would they consider a Vegas kind of thing? I don't know. And part of the reason Neil decided it was time to do this is because he got divorced. It's like, well, she's going to take some of my money. I know how I can get some back, and then some. So it's going to go one of two ways. Either we're going to say, okay, that's it. We did it. We took our victory lap. We let everybody who didn't see us get to see us, and everybody who always wanted to see us one more time, you got the chance. And now we're going back to our separate worlds. Or maybe they'll say, well, that went down pretty darn well, and now I can make a ton of money by doing a lot less work, and we'll do it again in a couple years. Maybe even consider doing a new record. It's a possibility. Stranger things have happened. The money might be too good to pass up. But the bottom line, as one of the Americans who has rung the bell for Oasis for so long, trying to convince people that they really were about the best band of their generation. It's a very different experience being an Oasis fan in America versus being an Oasis fan in the UK and have lived through them in the UK during that time. It's totally different. And I thought I should be rewarded for it by getting to go to the shows. Maybe I will one day. But I have seen them live, and I saw them in pretty small venues. And the first time I saw them was at a big amphitheater, but then I saw them in theaters. The Ryman in Nashville, that's not that big. Taft Theater in Cincinnati is not very big. So I've seen them in a more intimate place. Do I want to see them in a huge stadium? Well, yeah, because the experience of having all those people together, singing together, seeing the big stage, the big light show, the big screen, that's a different experience. And there aren't many more rock and roll bands that can fill a stadium on a regular basis. Oasis are one of the few remaining, and that's part of why it was so popular and why I'm hoping they won't give it up. And yes, to me, What's the Story, Morning Glory was their best. Just the fact that it's basically 2 albums worth of stuff when you consider all of the B-sides. And yeah, seriously guys, the 2014 reissue with all the B-sides, Talk Tonight, Rocking Chair, Acquiesce, their version of Come On Feel the Noise is great. Do yourself a favor and go get that. You want to get the new 30th anniversary set? Yeah, go for it. It'll be remastered, and then it has some unplugged stuff on it. But I think the better value is the 2014 version. And we want to know, folks, did we get something right? Did we get something wrong? Did we miss the point? Did we leave out your favorite part? Email us and let us know. It's uglyamericanwerewolf@gmail.com. You can let us know the bands, the albums, the tours, concerts, DVDs, books, the rock properties you want to hear us talk about here on the show. And we implore you to download and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Doesn't really matter where, but download and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And those downloads are the lifeblood of growing our show. And if you really want to help us out, please go give us a 5-star review. Apple and Spotify are the big ones, but we love hearing from fans who love what we do. It means the world to us. It helps us find more rock and rollers like you. And if you send it our way, we might just read it on an episode. Thanks as always to Pantheon Podcast for making us part of the family. And thanks to our sponsor, rarevinyl.com, where you can use the code UGLY to save 10% off one entire order. And yes, they have a treasure trove of amazing Oasis stuff from over the decades. You're an Oasis collector, go to rarevinyl.com and stock up. In fact, you know what? I've been saving my code for a while. Maybe I'll stock up on some rare Oasis stuff myself. Save a big fat 10% with code UGLY. That's it for this week. We got some fun reviews coming up. We've got some fun interviews and guests coming up. Really excited about. Can't tell you about it yet, so you're just going to have to stay tuned. And to all you rockers all around the world, be cool and keep doing what you do to keep rock alive.